What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. So it's just been over a season for the 2021 NBA draft class, and I think it's about time that I finally do a tier list for the top 10 draft picks. I'll go into later picks in other videos, but yeah, let's see how we go here. If you guys aren't familiar with the series, I basically rank each of these players according to where I think they are on an investing tier. Invest Now, which is 5+ years, is the long-term category. We also have the Invest Now short-term category, which is in the 0 to 5 years. The I need to wait and see a bit more is more the hold category, and then the not for me is my sell category. So obviously, with them just being a season in, I've got to give them a little bit of a longer leash because a lot of players can develop in, later into this season as well as into their third seasons as well. So, yeah, I mean, you got to give them a bit of a long leash either way. So, let's get straight into it. We'll go pick number 1, Cade Cunningham. Look, I'm going to go with Cade Cunningham in the Invest Now short-term category. I know this one may divide a few people, and I think for me, he's borderline Invest Now long-term and Invest Now short-term, but I just think, for me, I was thinking about it before this video. When you look at the players that I've previously had in the Invest Now long-term category, so I had Zhaire Williams, I had Luka Doncic, I had Jason Tatum, and I also had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I didn't have Ja Morant, unfortunately, and I also had LaMelo Ball, and I think I might have had Anthony Edwards. You might have just missed it, but yeah, I had those 5 players. So it's basically for me thinking, would I want to have Cade Cunningham as an investment up with those 5 players? Probably not. I think he falls a little bit under it. And look, like I said, it's borderline for me. I don't think it's going to be the worst thing if you have him in that top tier, and I don't think it's the worst thing if you have him in the second tier. But I really like him. I think his shooting percentages could improve a little bit, but he did have that really poor start heading into his rookie season. A lot of people were calling him a bust after like 5-6 games, but no, he's actually proven a fair bit now. He's got a really nice young core there at the Detroit Pistons. They've got Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Stewart. They have Jalen Duren. They have Saddiq Bey. They have Bojan Bogdanovic, who's I think averaging 20 points per game at the time of recording. So I like the young core. I like their GM Troy Weaver. I think, yeah, if you want to go long term and you're a believer in Cade Cunningham long term, you could have him there. But for me, I'm not going to have him there. And that's just the way the law of averages works. Pick number 2, we have Jalen Graham from the Houston Rockets. I am a Houston Rockets fan, so I'm going to try and stay as non-biased as I can. I'll have him in the Invest Now 0 to 5 years category. The thing with Jalen Green is I really like him. The situation at Houston could be a little bit better. Not sure if Stephen Silas is going to be our future coach, but yeah, Jalen Green was very similar to Cade Cunningham when he first came out of, wasn't out of college, out of the draft, we'll say. They both had pretty average starts to their careers, but have sort of eased into it now, and both are playing quite well. I really like Jalen Green's athleticism and his scoring ability. His defense probably could get worked on a little bit, but I really do like his athletic profile and everything on top of that. In terms of putting him in the Invest Now 0 to 5 years category, my thinking behind this was sort of like Cade Cunningham as well. In thinking, who would I compare him to right now who's a little bit more established in the NBA? And don't hate on me for saying this, but I think someone that's very similar to Jalen Green is someone like a Zach LaVine, someone who's really athletic, is a really proven scorer. And if anything, that should be a credit to Jalen Green. But if you're talking about a card investing sense, are people wanting to hold on to their Zach LaVine cards long term? Probably not. So I think that's why he's more of a short-term player for me. But I think his potential is quite high. Like, he could honestly be one of the better scorers in 5 to 10 years' time in the NBA. Could easily be a scoring leader. Not sure if he's going to be a championship-winning player, but he's definitely going to be a scoring machine in the NBA. So I really like him. Like I said, I'm going to stay as non-biased as I can. Jalen Green in the Invest Now short-term category. Pick number 3, we go to Evan Mobley. So Evan Mobley, I mean, people, again, this class has a lot of like 50-50 decisions to make, and I'm going to be on the safer side here. I want to put him in the Invest Now short-term category. So I also, again, this top 10 draft in the class is pretty good. So I really like Evan Mobley. I like his versatility defensively and offensively as well. I like the situation he's in at the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've got Jarrett Allen, they have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro. We've got a lot of good young players. At the time of recording, they've only lost 1 or 2 games, I think, at the moment. So yeah, in saying so, Evan Mobley's sort of regressed from his rookie season. And that's not actually a blight on his performance. If anything, it's just because the Cleveland Cavaliers don't really need him to be a 20-point, 10 rebound, 2 block per game sort of player. I think they just need him to be really just playing a role, and I think that's what his stats showcase at the moment. Like, his stats aren't as good in his rookie season, but yeah, if the Cavaliers have only lost 1 game or 2 games to start the season, they don't really need him to do much more. Like, that's more my thinking behind it, and I think I've heard a few comparisons with Kevin Garnett. I can sort of see it. The versatility is definitely there. I think Kevin Garnett's a little bit more polished offensively, obviously, but I think Evan Mobley defensively is a beast. I looked at the Defensive Player of the Year markets today, and he's currently 4th, which for a second-year player is pretty crazy. He had 7 blocks the other day as well. Yeah, 0 to 5 years for me. I think for him to be in that long-term category has to be a 25-point game player for me. Like, I just think in terms of investability, I think that's important. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's quite hard to compare. I mean, if you want to compare him to another player who's quite good defensively, someone like a DeAndre Ayton, I guess, but Bam Adebayo as well. But yeah, I think that's, people might laugh at me saying those sorts of comparisons, but you have to be realistic and call it the way it is sometimes, I think. So yeah, Evan Mobley for me in the invest now short-term category. Pick number 4, my man, Scotty Barnes from the Toronto Raptors. Scotty is another 50-50. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do invest now long-term category. I really like Scotty Barnes. Look, he's sort of similar to Evan Mobley in that he's got a really stacked team with Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. He's also got Fred VanVleet, and Gary Trent Jr. Very stacked team, so he doesn't really need to be doing as much as he can, but he offensively and defensively last season, if you watched him, he won the Rookie of the Year award last season, but just watching him, he was incredible. If you watch the highlights of him, he does, people throw that Giannis comparison around to a lot of players, but I can definitely see the Giannis comparison with Scotty Barnes. He's still very young. He's got a lot of potential. He's got all the tools there. He needs to improve that 3-point shot, I think, but offensively, defensively, he's all there. Like, it's crazy how the Toronto Raptors drafted him, and a lot of people were saying, it was a bit of a reach, and then he ended up winning Rookie of the Year. Because if you forget, I don't know if you guys remember, but Jalen Suggs was meant to be the consensus pick number 4, and Toronto Raptors with Masai Ujiri just ended up pulling a rabbit out the hat and getting Scotty Barnes, who ended up being the best rookie in this class. So look, that, like, in saying so, like I was saying before, that means I'm ranking him with the Zions, the LaMelos, the Lucas, and all those sorts of players. But I think his potential's up there, and I really, really like Scotty Barnes. Pick number 5, we go to Orlando Magic. We have Jalen Suggs. Look, Jalen Suggs, borderline for me was not for me, but I'll be nice. I'll put him in the hold category. I need to wait and see a little bit more. Look, his rookie season wasn't the greatest. Typically in a rookie season, we want to see some progression, and I think that was the hard thing with Jalen Suggs. And Cole Anthony as well was taking a lot of his playing time. Right now, he's actually playing all right for the Orlando Magic. He had a career high the other day, but the thing is, Cole Anthony's not playing. Markelle Fultz isn't playing. So I think he's obviously getting a lot of playing time at the moment, which is good. I think that's really good for him. But I think, I don't know. I want to wait and see a little bit more before calling anything. His shooting percentages last season were terrible. I think they were, some of the worst in the league. And surprisingly, before the draft, I actually did want Jalen Suggs in the Houston Rockets. I wanted a guard that was more NBA ready, I guess, putting Kevin Porter Jr. at the shooting guard position. And I thought Jalen Suggs would do that role a little bit better than Jalen Green. I'm glad we didn't go down that route, because I think Jalen Suggs wasn't as NBA ready as I thought. I thought he would have a bit more leadership and all that sort of stuff and turn the locker room a little bit more. But I think Jalen Suggs, to me, in that hold category. I don't want to be rude and put him a little bit under. I'll put him in the hold category for now. Pick number 6 from Melbourne, Australia. We have Josh Giddy from the OKC Thunder. I also like Josh Giddy. Similar to Jalen Suggs as well, in that they both need to improve their shooting percentages. I did mention in my NBA breakout video that the OKC Thunder did hire Chip Engelland, who was the Spurs' former shooting coach, and he's apparently responsible for the development of Kawhi Leonard, DeJounte Murray, and all these other players in terms of their shooting. And yeah, I think, you got him at the OKC Thunder. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think Josh Giddey, they're all going to benefit from that. And if you guys don't remember as well, I've said it before as well, Josh Giddey, he won 3 or 4 of the Western Conference Player of the Month awards last season for the rookies. And yeah, he didn't win the last 2 because he got injured, and he was pretty much on track to make the all-rookie first team before the injury. But yeah, like I said, injuries took over, and yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate for him because he ended up making the all-rookie second team, even though he won a fair chunk of the Rookie of the Month awards. Even though most of the good rookies from this draft class are in the East, yeah, I think Josh Giddey's a really good player, and he's a triple-double machine. I think it's going to be hard. This season, he hasn't progressed as much as I would have thought. He's a triple-double machine, but I think with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander handling the ball as much as he does, as well as all the other players there. But I thought Josh Giddey would probably pop off a little bit more, but I think for me, I wouldn't be against getting some Josh Giddey cards and just hoping in the next 2-3 years he does pop, because he's still very young. I think he's almost the second or third youngest player from that draft class as well. So I'm willing to wait a little bit longer for Josh Giddey, but invest now and wait for me, I think is what I'm going to go for. But I really like Josh Giddey, and I think his market goes really well for him. The invest now short-term category for me. Pick number 7, Jonathan Kamingo from the Golden State Warriors. Putting him in the hold category, yeah, again, he's another player that I don't know too much about. I've watched, I do know a little bit about him, but just in terms of like whether I'd go into him, I think his hype's really high. And deservedly so. The Golden State Warriors are some of the best. They have some of the best front office in all the sports. Getting Jordan Poole, getting Moses Moody, James Wiseman. They've got a really good, really good scouting department. They've obviously got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and all those sorts of players. But I think, having Jonathan Kaminga at pick number 7, I think the word thrown around with Kaminga is potential. So again, I don't want to be like buy all his stuff now because I don't know enough about him. But I think, from what I've understood, he does still make a fair ton of mistakes. His IQ isn't the greatest, but that's what happens when you're raw and you have a lot of potential. You're going to pretty much put all the tools together at a later stage. But yeah, I don't know. With his price, I just think with his price, I'm not a massive fan. Like, I'd rather wait for him to drop a little bit more. And I think he's got a little bit of that Golden State hype baked into his price, as well as that potential sort of baked into his price. So look, like I said, in every draft class, there's players in the top 10 that don't work out, and I could easily just put him in the sell category, but I'm giving players a bit of a longer leash, and I'm going to put him in the hold category for now. Pick number 8, and another player I really like, Franz Wagner from the Orlando Magic. Wow, he's almost borderline again, and if I had to really rank these sorts of players, I was actually thinking about this. I don't know if I'd want to actually rank this because I don't want to be mean to my boy Jalen Green, but I'd almost put Franz. Put him there. Jalen Green. It's tough. I'd put Mobley a little bit above Jalen Green, and then I'd keep it as is. But I'd put Franz Wagner third. I really like him. I think, these European players coming into the league nowadays, they're just so good at doing the basics right. He's not really anyone, when you look at his stats and even when you watch him play, he's not anyone that you look at him and you think, he's really good at his three-point shooting, he's really good at his drive, he's really good at his playmaking. He's just good at everything rather than being really, really good at something. That's the sort of gist I get when I watch the Orlando Magic and Franz Wagner. Really efficient scorer. Like, he did very well in his rookie season. And I think people were very surprised at how he played. He's someone I have been stacking up on. I think, I don't want to make this call too early, but in terms of this top 10 here, I would almost say he's the best value out of everyone here. I would say that because I feel like Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham are at really high prices. Scotty Barnes is at a high price, but he's a little bit lower. I'd almost say Scotty and Franz are the two best value players I'd go for here. But I really like Franz Wagner. I think the situation there with him and Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., they have a really good young team. I don't think they're going to do too well this year. I thought this may be the season that they step up a little bit, but Seems like they're still tanking for Victor and for Scoot. So I don't know what the future is for that, but I think Franz Wagner could be a 20-point per game scorer in the next couple of years, and I really like the way he plays. Go check out his highlights. He's really interesting player to watch. Really interesting. Pick number 9, and I said I wasn't going to be ruthless, but I think I do have to be ruthless. We have Davion Mitchell. I'm having him in the not for me category. And look, I'll say this, like he's, part of my decision making with this, I mean, this isn't the main thing, but he's one of the older players from the draft class. I think he's already 23 or 24, but I think his profile doesn't bode well for investing. He's a defensive point guard. His nickname's Off Night, for those that don't know. I don't know if people are calling him right now Off Night in the NBA, but I know in college he was called Off Night because typically the players that he guarded were having off nights. But Davion Mitchell, he's a solid player, but as a defensive first point guard, I don't think long-term, what's the ceiling for that? Like, let's say it's a Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday's a really good defensive point guard. Is Jrue Holiday really an investable player for how good he is? Right now, his ceiling's really high and he's still not really someone that people are buying. And I think the situation at the Kings as well, like he's also got De'Aaron Fox taking a lot of the touches from him. He's regressed this season. I think his role has dropped a little bit. He's got Malik Monk also there, Kevin Huerter. They've actually prioritized Kevin Huerter over Davion Mitchell. So De'Aaron Fox is starting with with Kevin Huerter. And Davion Mitchell's coming off the bench. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit unfortunate for Davion. I think his play style doesn't bode well for people who want to be investing. And I think people have to miss out. Like, he could still be a very solid player, but I just think in terms of a sports card investing sense, not for me, personally. And last player, Zhaire Williams from the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, this is a combination. It could almost be here or here. I'll just put him to not for me, more based on the law of averages that not everyone in the top 10 works out. He's a very solid player. I know people said that the Memphis Grizzlies reached when they drafted him at pick number 10, but he's a consistent starter for him. He hasn't played so far at the start of this season because he's been injured. So Jaren Jackson is out as well. But I think Zhaire Williams, defensively, not too sure what he's going to be getting into. I don't know too much about him, actually. I just know he was a really good starter, but and the Grizzlies did reach for him. But again, he's someone, even if the Grizzlies reach for him, the Grizzlies have been really good at their value drafting. They had Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks. They have Santi Aldama, who's been playing quite well, who are all late first round to second round picks. So I think you can back in the Memphis Grizzlies front office a little bit here. But again, I'm just going more for the law of averages here and putting him in the not for me category. Look, I might look a little bit stupid later on for saying it, but law of averages, as I said. So that's it for today's tier list. I'll try and go through the rest of the 2021 NBA draft class at a later date. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below, and also let me know in the comments what you guys think of my selections and where you would have each player. I will chuck in the top corner one of my more recent tier lists that I did, so you guys can go straight into that. And I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you all in future videos. Take care.